Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to yet another video in this series about the Neo Jazz piano method. So today's video is going to be really cool. I'm excited to show it to you guys because we're going to be walking through the entire blueprint that I use for teaching students this way of learning improvisation. Now in the last few videos guys, we've been talking a lot about why the old method of learning tons and tons of jazz standards is not the quickest or most effective way to learn jazz improvisation, especially if you want to achieve a modern or even neo-soul influenced sound. So in today's video, we're gonna really get into some more nitty-gritty of the roadmap and how you can actually apply this stuff. So I would highly suggest that you guys have either a pen and paper to take some notes or even just be at your keyboard so you can follow along. So in video 2, we actually did go over one of the core techniques here for improvisation, the linear restriction improvisation technique. And I showed you how you guys can get started with the basics, but obviously there's so much more to that. There's also so much more to harmonic cell theory. And today I'm gonna walk you through all of the amazing things that we are actually going to do as part of the Neo Jazz piano method. So stay tuned, let's dive right into it. All right guys, so really quick, I just want to walk you guys through a list of skills that you're going to attain using the Neo Jazz piano method, and then that should really show you why it's structured the way it is. Okay, so we're going to be creating our own Neo Jazz chord progressions on the spot. We're going to be reharmonizing them in real time. So that's a huge part of this process, is actually being able to now transplant different chords in and out of your progression to create different reharmonized versions of those progressions, or even reharmonize a melody itself. We're also going to be doing advanced linear soloing and improvisation. We're going to be doing arpeggio and run formation, modern voicings and voicing mastery techniques. On top of that, we're going to get into some more conceptual stuff, like how do you actually practice and create a good practice routine. We're also going to look at some amazing ear training techniques. In fact, ear training is a core principle and piece of the Neo Jazz piano method. Throughout the entire process, I'm going to actually be subjecting you guys to some crazy ear training exercises and challenges that are going to have a really incredible effect on your ears. To me, ear training is often overlooked, and I think it is such an important thing. So that's why I've designed tons of incredible exercises for you guys. Additionally, we're going to look at chord substitution formulas, and we're also going to do left-hand comping patterns. And then finally, we're gonna just get into straight up vocabulary. We're gonna look at some amazing modern licks. We're gonna look at how to do pentatonic line constructions and melodic cells in detail. And honestly, guys, even just this list is not covering everything, but I mean, I wanna give you guys a good overview of what you can expect to learn and how you can expect to learn it using this method. All right, let's keep going. So the way I've actually built the Jazz Piano Secrets course is it's a 3-month course, and it's actually broken down into 4 different phases. I'm gonna walk you guys through those phases in just a second. Now, another thing is, guys, I'm factoring this at about an hour of practice a day. And of course, that's gonna vary depending on how much time you need to learn the subject material. But to me, an hour is about what I think is a healthy amount of practice, and you should be able to make some amazing progress with an hour a day. Now, if you can only do half hour, that's okay, and I can help you restructure your practice routine so that you have a good concept of how to use that half hour the most efficiently you can. If you can do 2 hours or even more than that, then you are gonna be way ahead of the game, so that is fantastic. Now, phase 1, guys, is all about harmony. So it includes things like building our chord progression and getting great voicings down for it. So phase 2 is all about adding in improvisation. So we take the linear restriction improv technique and we actually add it in on top of the harmonic foundation we built in phase 1. Now, phase 3 is gonna be really, really fun. It's essentially like a power circuit at the gym. So since we've already built up our foundation of harmony and improvisation skills, phase 3 is gonna be all about overloading you with tons of incredible vocabulary, and then we're gonna move on to phase 4. So phase 4 is all about integration. We take all of the stuff we learned in phase 3 and before, and we put it all together so you actually have a cohesive improvisational skill set. On top of that, we're actually going to talk about how you can develop your own unique sound. So this is a really important phase. Now, really quickly, guys, I want to actually get a little bit more detailed with each phase and show you what we're going to do in each one. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here, guys. So in phase 1, we're going to come up with our chord progression. We're gonna learn some beautiful voicings for it. And now here's where this method is really different. Normally when you're learning jazz standards, you learn the voicings and you get what you need to get through that song. That's not good enough for us, guys. we're gonna be really building your ears and your improvisational skills by forcing you through some amazing exercises that will give you a real mastery of each voicing in the progression. So we're gonna do some intervallic voicing practice, and we're also gonna do some other really important voicing exercises. So by the end of phase 1, we actually have a really solid grasp of the harmony, of moving the voices around, of harmonic cell theory and being able to switch them around in different orders, and overall just having a really strong harmonic foundation. Now, moving on to phase 2, we start getting into linear improvisation. So as we went over in video 2, we're gonna be connecting scales over our progression. But again, that's not good enough for us. We're gonna get much deeper with these scales. We're gonna be able to hear those connections at different points in the scale, and then we're gonna turn this into actual arpeggiation. So we're gonna use arpeggio formation technique to build arpeggios based on the scales we know. And overall, we're gonna leave phase 2 with a fairly substantial understanding of improvisation and creating modernistic lines. So at the end of phase 2, we should have the skills to do things like this. All right guys, so phase 3 is a power circuit of vocabulary. We're going to be working on tons of amazing things to increase the speed of your progress. So we're going to be learning licks, arpeggios. We're also going to be learning reharmonization formulas, so actual formulaic things that you can do to change in and out the chords in your progression. So at the end of phase 3, you won't quite know how to integrate all this stuff yet, but you're gonna have some really interesting things under your fingers. So let me just show you a few examples of the things that you'll be learning. So one example of something you might learn would be an arpeggio like this. We'll also learn how to do two-handed arpeggio formation. We're also going to learn different types of inflections, whether it's blues inflections or neo-soul inflections, and be able to apply those to our improvisation as well. So we're going to be going over a lot more than that, a lot of different types of vocabulary, but I wanted you guys to have a good idea of what that will involve. Finally, guys, that brings us to phase 4, which is the actual integration phase. So we're going to look at how we can take a lot of that vocabulary from phase 3 and bring it into our playing so that we can actually create cohesive improvisational structures. We can develop our solos well. We can actually sit down, create a progression, and then immediately turn that into an entire song if we wanted to. All right, guys, so that really summarizes the full roadmap of developing with the Neo Jazz Piano Method. And honestly, I'm really, really proud of this entire methodology. I really think it's pretty much the fastest way available right now to actually learn improvisation, especially if you want to get that modern neo-soul influenced sound. Now, of course, guys, this is the exact roadmap that I walk students through in my Jazz Piano Secrets course. So if you actually want my direct help, you want me to be there holding your hand through the entire process, that is the whole point of the course. I want to make sure that everybody gets through this having made amazing progress with learning improvisation and the Neo Jazz Piano sound. Now, if you are interested in getting into the course, as I've said before, make sure you're on the early bird waitlist because there's going to be very limited space available, and everybody on that waitlist will have first access to signing up before all the slots are filled up. Now, in the next video, guys, we're going to be looking at a very specific case study, okay? So we're going to actually talk to one of my students, see how this method is working for him, see how he's doing working with me, and honestly, I'm really proud of our progress together, so hopefully you guys will be able to gain some really interesting insights about how this method is actually working from the student's perspective. Make sure to stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.